What's up guys? Welcome to New Villa Garden. In today's video, we are going to do some light pruning on our young LSU Purple fig tree. So here's our young LSU Purple fig tree. It's currently in a 3-gallon pot. We moved this from Washington about 2 weeks ago. We bought it from a nursery in early June, and it's now the first week of July, and we're getting consistently about 100 to 110 degrees on a daily basis. As you can see, this tree has a lot of trunks, but very thin. What I'd like to do is maybe thin it out just a little bit to help it grow a little bit more during the summer, and put a little more energy into maybe those 2 main branches that are the tallest. So I'll cut maybe 1 or 2 of these smaller branches down here. There's this one branch that goes down to here, which is this. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, it's this branch here. So right under there, it also branches out over here. So I'll take this out as a cutting. So we'll thin this out. We'll take this out from here and maybe take this one as well. So we'll get maybe 2 or 3 of these, because there's a lot in here, as you can see. So yeah, the goal is to thin this out, maybe help it put some of its energy into the taller branches, the longer branches, and see which ones would be growing the more dominant. And then we can also propagate those branches that we're going to cut. Some of you might be thinking that it might be bad for the tree because we're currently in the summer, but I think it will be probably more helpful for the tree within this out, because right now it is here. This is the north side of my house, so we have this little microclimate, and we have shade set up there, so it protects these. Actually, I have these 3 fig trees here, so they get the morning sun kind of shaded, as well as the afternoon sun, but for the most part it's pretty shaded here in this area, and so it's not that hot. I don't think it'll stress the tree a lot, so let's see. Hopefully it'll be more helpful than hurtful. We're just gonna be pruning just a few branches anyway, so we're not stressing the tree too much. But before we cut any branches, let's get our rooting medium prepared first. All right, for the rooting medium, it's a simple mix of 50% cactus potting mix that we're gonna use, and 50% perlite. All right, so the potting mix, the cactus succulent potting mix, it already has like some perlite in it, as well as some mulch in there. So it's pretty a drainy soil, but we're gonna add perlite to add to the drainage. So it wouldn't hold too much of the moisture in it. So we're just gonna do equal parts of the soil and perlite into this tub. And then next we're gonna water this, get it moistened. And then we're going to use plastic cups to hold the rooting medium, and then this is where we're going to plant those cuttings. We use plastic cups first of all because it really helps to check on the rooting process. You can easily tell with the plastic cups whether or not the roots have grown yet, compared to, you know, like nursery pots where you cannot really see through them. But one thing I do with these is, you know, just cut some holes at the bottom to make sure that it doesn't hold too much moisture in it. So that helps with the drainage from the soil. Although we're not really gonna water the soil anymore once it's in here. But in case you overwater it, there's still those drainage holes where the soil is not gonna hold too much of the moisture in it. Then we're just gonna poke some holes in it, in the soil, so we can easily plant those cuttings. Right. It's time to take the cuttings, and as I had described earlier, so we're gonna take, actually, I'm kind of thinking of taking this branch as well, this one, because that's this branch in here. Let me see if I can show that. That's this branch here, this right here, and then it has another branch right here. So that's just one. It's actually a Y. So coming from the root, there's that branch which comes up to here, this one, and then that other branch here is this branch right here, which also branches into a Y. So we'll leave this one, this small one here for now because it's too thin anyway. I'm not sure if that's going to be a good, you know, size of a cutting. All right, so let's get to it. All right, so here's our cuttings from the LSU Purple. So we got those two branches. This one, actually, I think it's long enough to make two cuttings. So maybe I'll cut this in half. So we'll have about an 8-inch cutting, two 8-inch cuttings out of this one. But the first thing we need to do is cut off all these side branches. Then we'll also take out these leaves up here. We don't really need the leaves, and plus, since it doesn't have any roots at the moment, so it'll be too much to support. So actually we'll just leave that apical bud and maybe just half of this young leaf here. There. And then we'll cut this in half. So maybe about here. Yeah, around here. So what I like to do is we'll cut the top here into a horizontal cut. So that way, as you can see, the bottom, we know where the bottom, which, you know, if it doesn't have the leaves, you know which part is the bottom part and which part is the top part. So the bottom part would always be like diagonally cut is what I do. So I'll cut this a little bit more. Maybe I'll cut this one closer to that node there. All right, and then what we'll do is we'll just kind of score that bark, scrape the bark a little bit to expose some of that cambium. And then what we're gonna do afterwards is dip this in the rooting hormone or rooting powder. So this is a rooting powder that we use. We get this. You can get this from your local Lowe's or Home Depot, or even from Amazon. Eventually, I'll have an Amazon store set up, and then I'll have these things listed in my store, so you can help the channel a little bit more and order from there if you're so inclined to do so. But anyway, so here's the rooting powder, and we'll just dip that in there. All we really need to have is just a light dusting of the powder on there, so we shake off the excess, and then we put that in the rooting medium that we prepared earlier. So what we want to do is maybe plant that like about halfway down into the cup, and then just compact that soil around it to get rid of all the air, the air pockets. Compact that down, and then afterwards what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna put another cup on top of this, so as to seal the moisture in this cup. And then I'm gonna put this by the window inside the house, so it's it's constantly in the 70s, but it still gets a little light from the window. It doesn't get direct sun, and that should be it for this one. I'll do the same for the rest of the cuttings, and then I'll show you what it looks like in the end. And finally, here we are. This is how it looks after all is said and done. So I have 3 cups. So 2 cups, one on top of the other. The second one serving as a cover. What I have here, basically, I use the packaging tape to tape them together, but I didn't overlap the tape. So this is the end. This is one end of the tape right here, and then this is the other end of the tape. So it goes around from here all around to here. So this portion here is actually open. I don't know if you can see it on the camera there. So if I squeeze this, it opens up like that. So basically what happens here is, so this second cup keeps the moisture in, but I have this untaped, so I have access if I wanted to circulate the air inside, I can simply squeeze this and just blow in to that opening, so as to prevent it from molding. And then the second cup here is basically just to catch whatever drips out of the cup. That also helps keep the moisture in the soil. So there you have it. So I've got actually four cuttings. So this one here came from that one cutting that was branching out into a Y. So I decided to make two cuttings out of it. So it's the same setup. I've got that opening there. And while these cuttings are inside the house, I put them in we don't have a greenhouse, so I just put them by the window so it gets a little bit of light. But the temperature keeps constant inside the house. So and also to monitor it, I use my existing tools. I used to make wine out of my grapes when we were up in Washington State. So I have had this thermometer. So I use this to monitor and make sure that it's constantly in the 70s. Right now we're out here, so the temperature's a little higher. But inside the house it's constantly like 77, 76 degrees. And then I've got this moisture meter as well. You use this for detecting moisture like through a drywall, so I have some handyman stuff. So I use this to just kind of monitor the moisture inside the cup, and make sure it's not drying out. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if the camera can capture it. Anyway, those are the tools that I use to just monitor and make sure they're not drying out. And then, like I said earlier, I use that small opening to just kind of circulate the air inside. So that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. It helps our channel a lot. And thanks for joining us on this journey of transforming our tiny backyard into our own little desert oasis, one plant at a time. We'll see you in the next one.